When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous. About the past and about the future.
Welcome to Draftvice, Walter. Doing a solo cast because I don't have my buddy Quinn with me today. But what's up, motherfuckers? I'm here to talk to you about the 2019 NFL Draft. It's the draft this week. Talk about the defensive lineman right now. Talk about the edge of uncertainty. Edge number one, Nick Bosa, clearly, duh. I don't think anybody had, I know there were some rumblings about Josh Allen, the Kentucky outside linebacker. He'll be on this list soon. But I don't think there's a more well-rounded or more expected number one than Nick Bosa. Dude's elite. He, was getting more production in his first year than multiple picks in this draft combined. So I don't know. I know he didn't play this year. There are some question marks with the injury, and then him taking off for the rest of the year. Like, he didn't play for about half the year this year. But I don't know how you look at it any other way and see a prospect who is more safe even on that point. And you can look at it with his brother Joey. He's performed very well, and honestly, he possibly could be better than Joey. Some have argued that. And Joey's had his injury issues, so you can also look at it from that perspective. But yes, number one is Nick Bosa. Number two, I just previously mentioned him, Josh, the Moshman Allen. Josh Allen. Josh Allen. Josh Allen. Josh Allen, outside linebacker, can play DN, can cover people. And I think, underrated aspect of his skill set, if you're running in a 3-4 and you want to use him as a true outside linebacker in a 3-4. But even still, just having that versatility. I know he doesn't have a full set of pass rush moves and has to work on a counter, and his spin move almost looks kind of pathetic. I think there was one time where he was spinning, and he tried to do a spin move, and it was basically, I'm just going to rush you backwards kind of deal. But in general, I still believe in what he has as a player. And if you can't find some usage for him, and maybe that's a little high, maybe having him number 2 overall is a little high for a guy who, but he's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he's constantly gotten better. We've seen improvement year on and year in. So he went from a guy who maybe last year would have been a top 100 pick to a top 10 pick this year, and I like the next guy on the list too, Brian Burns, but I'm at least not as worried with Josh Allen holding up in the run game, and eventually developing some other pass rush counters and developing as a pass rusher. So yes, number 2 is Kentucky edge rusher Josh Allen. Edge 3, I already mentioned him, Brian Burns. It's going to be probably a theme of this, is I'm going to go ahead and relate to the next guy on the list. Brian Burns, extremely athletic. He has a variety of pass rush moves and is constantly working at it. And the reason why I have him so high, and I debated having him ahead of Josh Allen, is he really works in his pass rush repertoire. And he even worked to bulk up before the combine. Likes to get a little bit of now he's got a little bit more junk in the trunk. Still only 250, but he's going to develop. He's going to get bigger. I mean, there's Olivier Vernon coming out. Olivier Vernon's played at 250 something at that point, so 250 is kind of the minimum of what you want for an edge rusher. Still like Brian Burns. He's still versatile, extremely athletic. You saw him in some linebacker drills at the combine. I gotta say, I like Brian Burns a lot, and he's probably 2B if Josh Allen's 2A, and it's just how you want to use him. It's just your personal taste. And honestly, I could see somebody, if you're Oakland and you're picking at 4, I could see them taking Brian Burns over Josh Allen. I could see a team liking Brian Burns over Josh Allen, because it's what tends to win is knowing the technique, and I can see Brian Burns winning with technique. That's going to relate to the next guy on the list, Clelin Ferrell, Clemson edge rusher. Yes, Clelin Ferrell, he wins with technique, length, and strength. Big, muscular guy. He can kick your ass. Yes, Clemson D-line's been, oh my God, there's so many guys in this draft who might go in the top 50, at least three. And we got the first one that I think will probably end up, maybe the second will end up going. Yes, Clelin Ferrell, he's number 4 on my edge list. I just think technique-wise, he's just so sturdy, so sound. We've seen him do it against elite players. We saw him go up against Jonah Williams, guy who's going to go in the top 10, hopefully as a tackle. At least he's the number 1 tackle on my board. And he just utilizes his length and technique and has a pass rush plan. And that is important when you're talking about edge, especially when you are maybe not the most athletic guy in the world. Having a pass rush plan is useful. So yes, pass rusher 4, Clelin Ferrell, getting to you with the plan, the length, and the power. And again, holds up really well in the run game. So that's something some teams really look for. Great 4-3 rusher. My 5th guy is another guy who gets with you with a plan, but also has some great athleticism. I'm going with Chase Winovich, motherfucker. Yeah, Chase Winovich. I can't be the guy who says I'm I might be the highest on him. I might not be the highest on him. And I gotta say, he is athletic, surprisingly athletic. I don't know if it's because he looks like Thor, but he's got that long flowing locks. Maybe that's why I like him. He actually wins with pass rush moves. He's solid in the run defense. He's better than his teammate Rashan Geary. Rashan Geary, he'll be on the list too. He'll be on the 2 lists. Yes, I take Chase Winovich at 5. Like I said, holds up well in both the pass and the run. Has a variety of pass rush moves. Again, gets you with a plan. And I said plan is important. No, he's actually probably more athletic than Clelin Ferrell. At least in the testing numbers, he came up as more athletic. Number 6 is actually a guy who maybe doesn't win as much with technique, but it's Montez Sweat, right? Montez Sweat has a potential heart issue, so he might slide in the draft. Has some legit athletic length. Really good against, very good in the run game. Very good in run defense. Still needs to develop more as a pass rusher, but has immense length, really athletic, tested extremely well. And sometimes when you see guys who test extremely well, you take a chance on him. This is maybe the guy who's kind of more. I would take him more towards the back end of the first, and especially with the and that was before the heart concerns. But yes, he's a guy who I legit like as a defensive player. I think he's good. I think he holds up well in the run game. There's a lot of teams that could utilize him. I know there was talk about him going top 10 or top 15. I don't love him that much, but I would take him as a first-round prospect. I'm not low. I'm not high, if you will. I have Jachai Polite as number 7. I've debated this, and I maybe even take guys later on the list ahead of him. Because, there's character concerns. I don't personally know the guy. Dude, tape is legit. You could see he's an athlete when you watch him play. Kind of might be this year's Arden Key. I think that's what it's going to end up being. He's going to be this year's Arden Key. He's going to go later. Going to be a little bit lighter in the junk trunk, if you will. But he's got the athleticism and the rush plan and the moves to be able to do it. And I just think he's going to go as a 3rd-round pick. I think that's the earliest I'd be willing to take him. But as far as, legit how he plays, it's kind of where I have him right there. Number 8, Rashan Geary. And this is a guy who I have him on another list as well. Probably be better if he played 3 technique because he's got a legit bull rush, right? He's good with that. I'm going to go ahead and use I'm going to use my power to beat you over, right? And I like that. But as an edge rusher, you need more. You need more of a plan than just, I'm going to out-bully you. It's how you get guys who just don't end up playing very well in the NFL. I could see certain teams playing really well with them. The Seahawks, if you will. I'm sure they can develop them. They seem to develop discount D linemen all the time, guys who've been casted off. Guys like a Deion Jordan, a guy like Barkevius Mingo, if you will. Guys who have been may not be great in other systems, might not have developed somewhere else. But again, like I said, if you find a way to utilize him, or you eventually are able to target what would make him a better player, then yes, I could see utilizing his skill set and turning him into a legit prospect, because he's got the athleticism, he's got the size, the spark profile to be a legit player. But, doesn't go in with the pass rush plan. Pretty good against the run. But just the pass rush moves aren't there. He gets beat a lot of the times. Now maybe in the NFL, if he's playing on a deeper D-line, like on a rotation, maybe along the Eagles D-line, or again the Seahawks, if they took him, kind of the player that they like taking. I could see him working out. Christian Miller, athletic. Injury issues have held him back. Christian Miller is my edge 9. But he doesn't really show a lot. Like, you just can't see a lot from his tape. Not a lot of pass rush moves. Like I said, I'd probably have Rashan Gary maybe at the end of the first round, early second. Whereas Jachai Polite and Christian Miller, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking them to the third round. So maybe Rashan Gary should be higher on the list, along with the next guy, Charles Omenihue. Again, another guy who might be able to, more versatile defensive lineman. We've seen him be the one guy who gave a headache to Oklahoma's O-line, gave them fits all day long. One of the few guys to multiply, just constantly give Kyler Murray some headache before he ever saw Alabama. So Charles Omenihue, I think he's another guy who kind of reminds me of a Trey Flowers kind of player. Him and the next guy on the list is Zach Allen. So that's Rashan Gary, 8, probably should be 7. Jachai Polite, 7, probably should be 8. Christian Miller at 9. Charles Omenihue maybe should be a little bit higher. But again, it's all kind of how you feel these guys will be in your system, right? If these guys played without any red flags, this is probably where I would have them. But this is along with but mentioning those red flags, they might be switched. So, like I said, Jachai Polite strictly on tape and perceived athleticism because he didn't test very well. Dude, you need a new agent, like stat. Really, I don't get, how do you not test well? Just don't go. Don't test. You're better off, right? You might have question marks, but nobody's going to be able to tell, and those go off the tape. So just don't do it, right? Just work out. Don't test. Maybe not a good thing to be suggesting to people. Omenihue I'd have as a second rounder. Zach Allen, second or third rounder. These guys maybe don't have the ceiling, but maybe have a floor or have some legit pass rush potential. Zach Allen's got a solid bull rush. Again, maybe those guys are more in the Trey Flowers category. Can kind of get at the quarterback, bull rush, kind of be used in a stunting and maybe gaps, multiple gap system. Might be able to get at the quarterback. Again, I think some of these players that guys like New England love taking and playing around with, or even the Eagles. Again, teams that know how to use versatile D linemen, edge rushers who can kick into 3 technique. Last 2 guys I have are LJ Collier, can attack the step point, athletic for 280 pounds, but he has limited pass rush moves. And then Anthony Nelson's a guy who I just like. Limited athleticism, decent production. Didn't really see him go up against a lot of high-end caliber players. But, again, a guy who I kind of like. So I'm going to go ahead, step up to bat for him, and say, I would take him in the third round. Maybe, probably about third round's where I'd take him. These are all guys who I'd take in the top 100. So that was that. That was my edge rankings. I know it's only 13 players, but, hey, that's who I'd take in the top 100. And if these guys seem to fall further down, I would hop on it, motherfucker. Peace. Please subscribe, follow me at Brojo Deathpunch, Brojo. Death, like the end of life, and punch, like what I did to your mother last night.